Stroll through Denver after dark, and you'll feel the weight hanging in the air. People lie on sidewalks where hope once lived. Addiction doesn't just destroy bodies, it devours dreams, ripping lives apart one piece at a time. Behind every tent is a story that could be any of ours. This is more than homelessness. It's a warning of what happens when a nation looks away from fentanyl's grip to the deeper cracks of inequality. Denver streets are telling that story, whether we're ready to hear it or not. If you want to uncover those hidden roots and discover the paths forward, stick with me and watch till the end. Homelessness in America is rising faster than ever, and the nation can no longer look away. HUD's 2024 count reports 771,000 people without stable housing, an 18% jump in just 1 year. This isn't a small increase, it's a sweeping wave touching cities, suburbs, and rural towns alike. Hundreds of thousands sleep outdoors, in tents, under bridges, or on sidewalks, facing harsh weather with little protection. California carries the heaviest burden, followed by New York, while cities like Seattle struggle to keep pace. The crisis stretches far beyond the coasts. In Denver, roughly 6,600 people are homeless, a 12% rise from 2023. About 3,000 live outside, a slight drop thanks to local funding, but still a serious challenge for a city that's growing fast. Have you ever walked downtown at night and seen how many people are sleeping just steps from busy streets? Families now make up a large share of the homeless population, including more than 100,000 children. Black, Hispanic, and Native communities are hit hardest, exposing deep inequities embedded in the system. This crisis isn't about a lack of money. It's the result of decades of choices: underfunded affordable housing, restrictive zoning laws, and a frayed federal safety net.
We need houses that are low income for people that would be rented to them according to their income.
Even with trillion-dollar budgets, homelessness rarely makes it onto the political agenda. In 2024, it didn't even crack the top 10 issues in Pew polls, overshadowed by inflation and border debates. Meanwhile, the costs are staggering. Tens of billions are spent every year on emergency responses, ER visits, policing, and encampment cleanups. Denver alone spends millions annually just to keep the situation from spiraling. Climate disasters, like recent hurricanes, are pushing even more people into homelessness, proving this problem is only growing. Federal action has fallen short. Biden's Build Back Better plan promised billions for housing, but delivered far less. States face different pressures. Texas struggles with migration surges, while California battles old tax laws that limit funding. The result is a patchwork system full of good intentions but weak follow-through. So the real question is, how long can we keep treating this as someone else's problem before it shows up at our own doorstep? Addiction is one of the harshest and most painful drivers of homelessness in America. It's not the only cause, but it makes everything worse. Across the country, about a third of people living unsheltered struggle with substances, fentanyl, meth, opioids, or alcohol. These aren't just faceless addicts. They're neighbors, veterans, parents, friends, people who've fallen through the cracks. Addiction and homelessness feed each other. Someone might lose their job, fall behind on rent, and turn to drugs or alcohol for relief. What begins as temporary escape quickly turns into dependency, making it almost impossible to get back on their feet. Without a stable home, clean sheets, a locked door, or a safe space, staying sober becomes a daily fight. In Denver, fentanyl has taken a strong hold. About a quarter of the city's unsheltered population struggles with it, and property crimes have risen as people chase their next high. Across the nation, addiction among the homeless costs billions every year in ambulance rides, ER visits, and public health services. More than 30,000 homeless Americans die of overdoses each year, often alone in tents, alleys, or makeshift camps. This crisis didn't happen overnight. Decades of policies that focus more on punishment than treatment have left deep scars. The war on drugs filled prisons while ignoring the root causes of addiction. Cuts to mental health funding in the 1,980 seconds pushed vulnerable people out of hospitals and onto the streets. Even today, settlement money from opioid lawsuits trickles slowly to local programs, while stigma still frames addiction in many communities as a moral failing rather than a health issue. But there are glimpses of hope. Programs in Denver, like All in Mile High, combine housing with addiction treatment, helping people stabilize first, then work toward recovery. The results: fewer ER visits and better long-term outcomes. Other cities are testing mobile clinics and peer support programs, but scaling these efforts will require real political will and funding that matches the scale of the problem. Addiction doesn't cause homelessness by itself, but it turns temporary hardship into long-term exile. It's a national challenge that demands both compassion and clear-eyed policy. Ignore it, and every other solution becomes just a short-term fix. To really understand homelessness in America, we need to look beneath the surface. Addiction and visible street encampments are just symptoms. The roots run much deeper. This crisis didn't appear overnight. It's the result of decades of economic pressure, social inequality, and political choices that built a fragile system, one that cracks the moment life gets hard. At the heart of it is housing. The United States has the largest economy in the world, yet it's short about 4 million affordable homes. That shortage pushes millions to the edge, unable to find a place they can afford. Rents have skyrocketed since the pandemic, often outpacing wages. In many cities, apartments that were once modest have become unreachable for working families, seniors, and young people alike. Outdated zoning laws make this worse. Many communities still enforce rules that limit new construction, often to protect property values or preserve a neighborhood feel. Combine that with NIMBY attitudes, not in my backyard, and new housing projects get slowed or blocked. The result is predictable: fewer homes, higher costs, and more people pushed into unstable situations. Beneath the housing crisis runs a steady current of poverty. About 13% of Americans, roughly 40 million people, live below the poverty line. For them, even a small setback, an illness, a car breaking down, or a missed paycheck can mean losing their home. The modern gig economy, praised for flexibility, often offers no benefits, no sick leave, and no job security. Many workers live paycheck to paycheck, just one step away from crisis. Racial inequality makes these economic pressures even harsher. Generations of redlining, unequal schools, and discriminatory policies have left Black, Hispanic, and Native communities with fewer opportunities and less wealth. Though they make up a minority of the population, people of color represent a disproportionately large share of the unsheltered. This isn't accidental. It's the legacy of decades of exclusion and marginalization. Meanwhile, the social safety net is thin and fraying. Programs like SNAP, housing vouchers, and rental assistance haven't kept pace with rising costs. Only 1 in 4 households that qualify for housing vouchers actually receives them. Cuts and underfunding leave millions with little to fall back on in emergencies. Politics also play a major role. While massive infrastructure bills pass with trillions for roads and bridges, housing investment remains small by comparison. Federal plans are often watered down in Congress, and state policies vary widely. California's strict tax caps limit funding for schools and housing. Texas grows economically, but offers few tenant protections, leaving many at risk of eviction. Natural disasters only add to the strain. Hurricanes, floods, and wildfires push families from their homes with nowhere affordable to turn. Denver offers a clear snapshot of this bigger picture. Rapid population growth, an influx of newcomers from higher-cost states, and a 20% jump in rents have pushed the city's housing market to the brink. Without enough affordable homes, more people end up on the streets. The reality is, homelessness in America isn't the result of a single failure. It's a system built over decades that puts profit and property ahead of people's basic needs. So the question remains, if this country has so much wealth, why is safe housing treated like a luxury? Real change will mean shifting priorities, building more homes, modernizing zoning laws, and strengthening the safety net. Without that, the cycle will keep repeating, and stability will remain out of reach for millions. Amid these systemic storms, it's the human voices that cut through, raw, honest, and unforgettable, reminding us that statistics are more than numbers. Here are a few of those stories, not as spectacle, but as mirrors of our shared vulnerability. These aren't made-up tales. They come from case studies and the quiet testimonies gathered in shelters from coast to coast, the kind that linger long after the headlines fade. Take David, an elder whose life of honest work as a carpenter until neuropathy ended his career, led to 5 years surviving on Denver's frozen sidewalks. At 66, he received Social Security, yet that small check can't cover both rent and essential medications, especially after a recent emergency abdominal aneurysm landed him in the hospital.
Hopefully Denver has some insight into the problem. It can no longer put our heads in the sand and wish the problem would go away, because it's not going to go away.
The physical toll is matched by mental strain as he battles depression and anxiety. He sleeps during the day because the streets at night are too dangerous, and avoids shelters after being robbed following a sudden knee collapse. I paid into Social Security all my life, he says, and it just doesn't seem like there's much return. His story isn't just about one man, it's a reflection of a broken social contract.
I draw my Social Security, but it's not enough to pay for my rent and my medications right now, so I'm on the street until I can figure out how to find the resources necessary for help.
A lack of affordable housing and basic health coverage leaves seniors adrift, highlighting how the system fails even those who played by the rules. Then there's Daryl, who recently lived unsheltered in the Denver Aurora area. His story shifts from personal struggle to a sharp critique of the system. When asked about available resources, he points out that the process is so bureaucratically tangled that seeking help becomes a full-time job. Daryl emphasizes that real progress requires more than local programs. It needs federal action, an emergency housing system similar to existing federal food assistance programs.
I think the federal government needs an emergency housing system, the same way we have an emergency food system. If you're really down and out, you can go to DHS and get emergency food assistance in $250 or whatever's per diem or however they adjust that.
He calls for streamlining applications, auditing funds, and ensuring that money actually reaches the people it's meant to serve. His experience exposes the frustrating systemic side of the crisis, reminding us that many Americans are just a paycheck or a personal crisis away from the same reality.
Used to be on Market Street, but they got moved over here.
Sharing these stories isn't about earning sympathy, it's about recognition. David's perseverance against illness, Daryl's resilience in the face of bureaucracy, they reflect how circumstances can derail any of us. These stories humanize the statistics and push us beyond pity toward meaningful change. Expanded access to affordable housing, Social Security reforms that match today's cost of living, and a national emergency housing fund that is streamlined and properly audited. As elders who've weathered our own storms, we understand that stories alone don't fix systems, but they ignite the people who can. Amid all the numbers and harsh realities, some places show that change is possible. Denver is one of them. The city has become a kind of testing ground for what works when local leaders, community groups, and businesses pull together. In 2024, Denver launched the All in Mile High initiative, a $100 million program combining public and private funding. It focused on two main goals: increasing shelter capacity and connecting people to services. The results were promising. The city added 1,000 new shelter beds and cut the number of people living unsheltered by about 10%. These weren't just temporary fixes. The program included tiny home villages on the city's outskirts, each with a lockable door, shared kitchens, and on-site caseworkers to assist with addiction recovery, job placement, and daily support. Local businesses helped too. Outdoor retailers donated gear for harsh weather, and Starbucks offered job opportunities to people rebuilding their lives. Together, these efforts led to a 15% drop in overdose-related ER visits, and more families were reunited faster than before. Denver's experience offers lessons for the rest of the country. Other cities are experimenting as well. HUD's Youth Homelessness Demonstration Program, active in more than a dozen cities, has cut youth homelessness by roughly 15% through rapid rehousing and trauma-informed care. In Seattle, low-barrier shelters that stay open 247 provide safer spaces for people who would otherwise remain outside. New York City is testing around-the-clock drop-in centers that include mental health services. The private sector is stepping in too. Amazon, for example, pledged $2 billion to support affordable housing in its home regions. Critics question the motives, but the investment has created thousands of units. While still localized, these efforts show that combining public funding, private partnerships, and flexible programs can make real progress. Yet, serious challenges remain. Bureaucratic red tape slows projects. Stigma keeps many people from seeking help. On Capitol Hill, housing competes with defense budgets and political gridlock. Denver's progress, while meaningful, relies on ongoing funding and federal support. Without it, gains can vanish quickly. Federal tools are already on the table. The Affordable Housing Credit Improvement Act and the END Homelessness Act could expand affordable housing and streamline access nationwide if lawmakers act. Denver's story proves that homelessness isn't inevitable. With focused investment and creative solutions, communities can make a difference. Imagine scaling these efforts nationwide. It wouldn't solve the crisis overnight, but it could start mending it one stable home at a time. Looking at the rising numbers, the grip of addiction, the deep roots of inequality, and the examples of what can work, one truth is clear: homelessness is not inevitable. It's a mirror reflecting how far our policies, priorities, and compassion really reach. Homelessness in America is more than a statistic. It's a test of our shared values, whether we still believe in opportunity, dignity, and community for all. The solutions aren't mysteries. Housing-first approaches, addiction treatment, fairer housing policies, and stronger safety nets work. Cities like Denver have shown meaningful progress. What's missing is scale, urgency, and the collective will to act. This is where each of us makes a difference. Real change doesn't happen only in Washington. It happens in our local communities, city halls, and through ordinary people who refuse to look away. It can mean calling your senator, supporting a housing initiative, volunteering with a local nonprofit, or simply having honest conversations that shine a light on the issue. As 2025 unfolds, the nation faces a choice. We can continue to accept homelessness as part of the landscape, or we can demand better together. America has the resources. It has the ingenuity. What it needs now is the courage to act with compassion. The promise of this country has always been that no one gets left behind. If we work together, that promise can be real again. And it starts with us today.